Sim.bc, where today is 1737, and today we're going to do a bit of a bullet point video. I know, quite interesting, is it not? Well, indeed it is, because today I'm going to cover some things that I covered in yesterday's video, some things that I covered in the videos before that, and some things that I haven't covered yet, but that I've experienced so far now that I'm here. And tomorrow I have some quite interesting ideas for you as well, or of what I wanted to talk about. Starting off with that this looks like to be the temporary setup until I move to my own apartment in Jönköping, where I will try to put up a more permanent setup with my, with lights and stuff, so that it all works out, because here I'm only going to stay here for less than a month, so it feels like working, reworking the entire place just to make videos. Sure, it is convenient for me, I might actually end up doing it, but right now, today, no, it's not something I'm going to do the first day, right? And I know it's not the first day I'm in Sweden, but this is the first day I'm actually recording here, because yesterday and the day before that I had these pre-scheduled videos in one sense or another, or yesterday I had these, these videos where I had already filmed on my way to Sweden, which I utilized and made with my camera, with my video camera, with my phone. Yes, I know, rambly indeed, but this is probably what it's going to look like for the short foreseeing future, unfortunately enough, because as I said, the lighting isn't optimal, the view isn't optimal. Maybe I'm really missing Bordeaux in these senses, in these instances, because missing the wall. I know, I'm really missing the wall. But yeah, so I'm going to go through some things. First of all, it was a 25 hours stay at the airport. Now, I'm not going to say that I recommend it. However, I'm not going to say that I don't recommend it either. If you have the option to either take into an hotel room or stay at the airport for 25 hours, or let's just say over the night, I would totally recommend you doing that, because it wasn't that bad. Now, sure, there was some people who looked like, how should I say this politically correct without stepping on anyone's toes again? There was some people there which I thought was a bit odd. They weren't people that I would normally hang out with. Let's put it like that instead. There were some people there who weren't like the people I normally would hang out with, who stayed over at the airport over the night. That kind of freaked me out a bit, because you want to be in a group, you want to be in a pack. We're pack animals, right? Humans. We want to be part of a group, Maslow's hierarchy of needs and all of that. And since I didn't feel like I could identify with the other people there, it felt really much like I am outside, and that was quite uncomfortable. However, despite that experience, it was really nice actually just staying there, because I had all of these things to do. I had lots of Photoshop to do, I had lots of videos to make, I had, or not to make, but think about and structure. I had different scripts I was writing on and working on. I had, again, Photoshop, thumbnails and stuff like that, other things I would like to incorporate in the videos. I had lots of stuff to do, and yeah, I had YouTube and stuff, like lots of stuff to look at and watch, and series and stuff, so I had a plethora of stuff to do at the airport. And sure, if you do not have those things, I would take into an hotel. However, if you do, well, what's the difference? Either you sit in a hotel room by yourself watching series, or you sit on a bench at the airport watching series. Yes, the thing is that if you're sitting at the airport, it's free. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm such a cheap ass that I'm just sitting there because it costed less money, but I would say that the opportunity cost, right, for me not being at the airport, like the cost should be low enough. Like, okay, if I explain it like this, my opportunity cost for taking into a hotel wasn't high enough, so I wouldn't pay. I would pay X amount of money to take into an hotel instead of being at the airport. I know I'm making it quite complex right now, and it was above that amount, and therefore I felt like, well, it's not worth it, I could just stay here. So I would recommend you, not necessarily recommend you sitting there just because you just sit there, but it's quite an experience actually to stay out for 25 hours, 26 hours, and just be like, I really want to go on the flight now. No, I don't really know if I truly recommend it, but it was quite fun for me anyway, because nothing happened. I know that stuff could happen, so I'm not saying go to an airport in the middle of the night. You should totally not do that. You shouldn't. You should not. But it was quite an interesting experience, if I say so myself. Oh yeah, and at my part of the airport, at the closed off business area, I had my bed sheets with me from my apartment in Bordeaux, and I just made my own little bed there. in that closed off area and slept, and I felt so homeless. Just like I said in yesterday's video, in the disclaimer, like, he's about to sound very homeless right now. And I just felt like when I was there and I found my corner, I was so proud, I was so happy. I was like, I made this, right? I made this. And I had my own little bed that I hopefully don't think is in the video of yesterday. But I made my own little bed there, which I quickly realized, like, this isn't helping at all. So I just rolled it all together and I used it as a pillow instead. But it was quite interesting. Moving on from that point, I almost overslept. I didn't sleep good at all. I slept for 1 or 2 hours at the time. No, sorry, I didn't. I slept for half an hour to 1 hour at the time, and I didn't sleep like consecutively. I slept kind of on and off during those periods of time, but I slept often, right? I tried to do this often. However, at around approximately 3 o'clock, I went to sleep, and I thought, like, I can go to sleep. I would probably wake up. No need to set an alarm, duh, because, you know, why would I? I was so tired, so I didn't think of it, I should say. And then I slept until 5, which was 2 hours, the longest I'd ever slept, and I kind of slept quite good. So when I woke up, I was looking at my phone, and I was like, what time is it? Oh my days, it's 5 o'clock already, and my flight went at 5:50, so I just felt like there was still plenty of time. I still had to go there, stand in the queue, made it through the queue, and had to wait on the other side for the longest time, right? I probably was on the other side of the security check for like an hour or something crazy like that, or 55 minutes. It was like really long. But still, I just felt like this is the longest I've slept in this corner for a while. Am I getting comfortable with sleeping on the floor? Maybe so. Would it be possible for me to oversleep right now? Yes, it probably would be. So that was a bit uncomfortable to realize that I might have missed my flight if I wasn't on my toes there. That was quite interesting. Yeah, I slept good in my corner there. Yeah, and then I had 3 seats, right, on the plane from Paris, not from Bordeaux to Paris, but from Paris to Copenhagen. The entire flight was booked out. Like, seriously, there were people everywhere. There was not a single seat that was left empty, except for where I sat. And I know I tried to convey that point in yesterday's video when I was like filming the seats, and I was like, look, I have all this space. But apparently some people like didn't get it, and they were like, what do you mean? What was this section for? What was this section all about? You were just kind of silent because the sound of the engine was overpowering you, and you spoke quite, low. And sure, to be fair, yes, in all fairness, I did, because I didn't want to disturb and scream at the airplane, at the flight, obviously. But yeah, what I meant by that part of the video was that the entire flight was booked out except for where I sat. I had 3 seats for myself for some reason. Probably just because, that's the nature of things. Sometimes that happens. But I felt like, is this because nobody wants to sit with me? Or am I just really lucky? Should I be offended or should I be really happy about this? You know what I mean? So I was sitting there like, is this good or bad? Is this good or bad? Is this good or bad? Well, I have an easier time running out if we crash, right? I know, I was thinking about all these things, trying to analyze the situation and just be like, oh, what's happening? And I know I've done a lot of videos about this, about these things, about my flight, about my journey, about things like that. But yeah, just bear with me, mates. I have some ideas for tomorrow. But moving into the next point then. Yeah, all advertisements on YouTube and on the internet, and when I'm searching on Google, I'm no longer getting the French alternatives and the French advertisement as my go-to. You know what I mean? Because usually when I go into google.com, specifically .com, because I want the English version, and I Google something, it just turns into the French version anyway, when I was in Bordeaux. Now that I'm here, it turns into the Swedish version! Yeah, which isn't necessarily better, because I want the English version, right? I want that version, and for some reason it turns out to be the Swedish version anyway. But at least now, when I Google stuff, I understand the topics. I understand the titles. Because when it was French, I was like, I googled for car, this says bonjour. I was just like, I don't get this at all. Now that is obviously not French, I'm not making fun of it, I'm just trying to convey the point that I had a really hard time understanding it, because I don't know French that much. No basis, right? But yeah, so that was really hard, but it was really fun to like get home and feel like, oh, this is the thing I never thought about when I left Sweden that I would enjoy with Sweden. But now that I'm back and haven't experienced it for a while, for the previous 6 months, I really enjoy it. That just in the simple notion of that when you Google something, it turns out in Swedish. when you see an ad on YouTube, it's in Swedish or English, because in Sweden we have some English advertisements. In France, it's basically 99.9% only French, which it's irritating, right? It's irritating because I heard nothing but French when I was watching YouTube when I wanted to. And even when it was kind of an exciting advertisement, it was in French, and I was just thinking that like, I really enjoy what I'm looking at, but I don't quite get what it is. You know what I mean? Because it was in the wrong language. Oh yeah, and right now I am in the city where I grew up and where I spent lots of my teen / early teen, tween years, something like that, whereas my dad is living now. So that's quite interesting, you know, moving from one point to another quite directly without an intersection, yeah? Not even bridging the gap. But now I'm in Sweden, I'm in one of the cities that I know. Not that I particularly like it, to be honest, right? I would rather be where I have my apartment or in a bigger city, because, you know, if I want to take the bus, and I'm going to exaggerate here, but that's because this is how I tell it to everybody, is that I have to walk for approximately 45 minutes to get the train, or to get the bus. Now, that might not be true. There might be buses that are closer, which is why I say I might exaggerate here a bit. But the one that I walk to, the one I choose to go to, which is the one that's most central and goes to the most places, takes approximately, well, let's say 30 minutes. 30 to 45, depends on how fast you walk, stuff like that, how much you have to carry with you. And that is so irritating in comparison to Bordeaux, where the tram was very close and went everywhere. And even to the bigger cities where I used to live, like a couple of years ago, where I also was very close, you know, walking distance to everything. Now I have to walk 45 minutes in order to get to a train where I can take the train for 15 or 20 minutes to the place where it is walking distance to whatever I want to visit. So it takes me about 2 hours to go to the gym, for instance. And that's just a single trip. Yay! I know, stuff like that is really irritating for me right now, but I'm at least back, you know, and it feels good, it feels great. I was so happy. I remember I woke up yesterday and I was so full of energy and I couldn't quite pinpoint why. But that was because I'd met every member of my family, like of my closest family, to say, and I felt, even though I didn't smile and I didn't consciously thought about I was happy, my entire body was filled with this happy energy in a sense. I know this is sounding really hippie. I know that, right? And it sounds really abstract, but this is kind of, I felt like a child, because I was back in security in my own country where I knew things, I knew stuff. I met my family, and I just felt like, wow. Of course, some people in my close family were missing, but I met a lot of them, depends on how you view and define your close families, let's say. But I had met so many people from my family, so many people that I enjoy hanging out with, some of my favorite people in the world. And my body was just like, it was exploding with these happy feelings when I woke up. And I was like, this isn't normal. This is quite interesting, actually. So at first I didn't realize it. I thought I was sick. But then I realized, well, might just be, like, after half the day had passed, I realized that what I felt this morning probably was just like a mixture of relief, happiness, and, you know, I don't know. But it was very nice. It's very nice, very nice. But yeah, it was really, really cool. Cool feeling. It was nice. And now, yeah, the ending up with the best thing ever. I don't have to re-log into the Wi-Fi all the time, because I had to do that at my previous apartment in Bordeaux, because it was kind of a it was kind of a hotel place at the same time as it was a rent your apartment here place / hotel / rent / buy. So it was quite, you know, frustrating for me. To every other day I had to re-log into the Wi-Fi. Not the biggest thing in the world, really, like an what do you say, an industrial country problem, so to say. Really much so a luxury problem. But still, it was a problem. It was something that was irritating and bugged with my daily schedule. So I'm really happy I'm not having to do that anymore. Well, yeah, that was everything for me from today. I have some really juicy stuff to get into tomorrow. Just, you know, stay tuned for that, because we're finally getting into it again. Woohoo! Have a nice one, mates, and I'll see you tomorrow.